We are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Playbook. It's been a while. It's been, I think, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since I've recorded a podcast. I think it can be easy sometimes to slip out of a routine. And once that routine keeps getting missed or ignored or not done, then the likelihood of you picking it up again diminishes. And whenever I feel like that I'm avoiding something or there's something that I should be doing that I'm not doing, I start getting a bit of a feeling of anxiety. And I've been having that around the podcast, to be honest. It has changed from what it was and to what it is now. And there's been a massive journey of learning from me. But again, the reason that I'm doing this is time stamping, it's sharing, it's maybe somebody might be in a similar position, or maybe somebody might take something from this. And if they don't, it for me will be weeks and weeks and weeks of a vocal memory of the point in time that I was there. All in all, it only takes me about an hour or two per week, if even. So there's quite a low barrier and there's quite a low amount of friction, but sometimes I still don't do it. But it's easily sustainable. But it's not like other podcasts which would plan to be the biggest podcast in the world or have a lot of fascinating guests. I don't know what this is, and there's no point in me trying to define it or put a definition on it, because what's the point? But this week I just want to kind of share my week in a review, maybe even the last 2 weeks, and ultimately use this as a check-in for myself. I went to and used to go to the men's circle, which I've spoke about previously in this podcast. And each week on a Tuesday, we would sit around in a circle, maybe 15, 20, 30 guys, majority of time older than me. And we would check in with ourselves, and then there'd be a topic of discussion for the week. The format that they followed was to check in with yourself. You had 5 minutes to speak, and you would check in physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and socially, which kind of encompasses everything. Plus there was sexually, but I'm not going to get into that. But it encompasses a lot when you need to check in with yourself. It kind of covers the most of the domains that you can kind of think into and feel into and understand how you were feeling in that section. So physically, I think I'm feeling quite sore. If you've listened in the past, then I am doing triathlon training recently, and it is quite intense. I initially was supposed to do an Olympic distance triathlon. It was supposed to be this weekend, actually, I think. But just in terms of how prepared I was, how ready I was, how comfortable I was with all the three domains of swimming, cycling, and running, it wasn't really the right time. So I decided to commit to the Ras Al Khaimah triathlon, which is an Olympic distance triathlon, and that will be at the end of January, January the 18th. So it's exactly tomorrow, 6 weeks away. So training has been extremely intense. It's been almost 10 sessions per week. It has been 10 sessions per week. So a lot of those days would be a session in the morning and a session in the evening. Or today, which is a Saturday, it's a run club and then some interval running work straight after. And then it'll be a gym session later on. So it's taken its toll on me physically, which has definitely led into the rest of the domains. But there's been small niggles that have come up in terms of some pain in my hips, just from being in that bike position for long periods of time. Also, there has been a reoccurring kind of Well, it was a injury that had not raised its head for a few years now, and that was my pinched nerve, and that's decided to come back and bite me ever since I started swimming and using kind of different muscles that I hadn't used in the past. So I'm monitoring that. Nothing that would take me out of action, but different things that are like kind of scaring me the fact that they could cause further issues down the line. But physically, apart from some few small niggles, I'm feeling really, really good. I'm feeling more fit than I've ever felt, besides probably the few weeks leading up to the marathon. And I'm really feeling a lot more comfortable with cycling, a lot more comfortable with swimming. Oh my God. From how hard it felt at the very first week of swimming 25, 50 meters to swimming continuously now for long periods of time and doing up to a kilometer and a half in one pool session, the difference is absolutely insane. Like the amount of newbie gains has been unbelievable. Um, I'm really enjoying the triathlon training. It's taken a completely different turn into how I view my fitness side of things and how I view my physical fitness. It's all that I think about, and it's outside of work, and it's all that I watch when it comes to content online. And I'm absolutely obsessed with all of it, and that progression and that performance and the triathlon as a modality, and reaching into something that I've never reached into before and being intimidated by that. The fact that having to go from a 1.5 kilometer swim, then to go into a 40k cycle and then finish it off with a 10k run, it feels quite alien to me, and I know it's going to be extremely difficult, but it'll be another stepping stone like every other physical fitness goal that I've had in the past. But it's the kind of thing that I'm just like, okay, shit, I could definitely see myself doing this for a long period of time. Oh my God. And a lot of the guys are definitely a lot older when like you're out on the bike or whatever, maybe because it's so fucking expensive, but I'm really enjoying that aspect of training. Next, intellectually. So physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, socially. Intellectually, I was feeling quite sharp when it came to intellectual and starting a new job within the managerial position within real estate. I've learned so much in a short period of time. I learned about hiring people. I learned about firing people. I learned about leading people. I learned about what people want to hear and what people should hear, what people need in an office environment, especially within real estate. I learned about how to speak in front of a team of people. My team is over 20 brokers now. How to influence the way in which the people feel based of things that I say. And this is in a sense of, in terms of team meetings. Jesus Christ. Rudely interrupted by the loudest fire alarm known to man. I was essentially saying that I've learned a lot within that, and learned a lot specifically about what the things in which that I say and how that affects people's attitudes. For example, team meetings can be notoriously boring when it comes to real estate. They can be quite doom and gloom, and they can be extremely negative, which has a lasting impact on how people feel, combined with the fact that they can be quite long. So I found out that it doesn't really matter what I say at the start of the meeting. It doesn't matter what I say at the middle of the meeting. It matters most what I say at the end of the meeting. And it also matters the feeling that I create. And what so many people can thrive off is that feeling of working together, that team feeling, that team spirit, that feeling that it's us against the world, that, it's up to us, but it's going to be extremely difficult, but it's going to be extremely worthwhile, and that it's completely up to us, and that we can determine our success, we can define our future, we can create the life that we love. Those kind of subtle feelings, however that you make people feel that way, has a massive impact in people's general kind of happiness and well-being as being part of that team. I have learned so much about that, and I've learned so much about the human psychology side of it. I've learned so much about how to build culture within a team and how to get people feeling like that they're part of something. Because it's funny, because as a real estate agent in my previous company, I could make more money, I could close more deals, but it didn't feel like I was moving forward. It didn't feel like that I was building something greater. And it didn't feel like that I was kind of contributing overall to build something that was worthwhile. And that's where I lacked some more meaning as a real estate agent. So that's what I'm trying to introduce to people within the team, because this company is relatively new. So it's that feeling of, having a seat at the table, feeling like that they have skin at the game, that they're part of something greater, and that they can essentially build something alongside making money. And there are different parts of being competitive with compared to other teams that has massively impacted that as well. A massive factor for sales agents is that competitive drive. So kind of putting us up against the other teams and creating competition where it's not necessarily even there has massively helped the team feel like they're together. I've learned so much about that. I've learned so much about that. I've learned so much about the fact that two people can have the exact same opportunity. Two people can have the exact same environment. Two people can have the exact same conditions and everything them surrounding them in the external environment, like the nurture side of the nature nurture debate. But one person can grab that opportunity. One person can squeeze it for all they're worth. One person can successfully use the tools and execute it really well. Like the exact same situation. I've got two agents in the exact same situation. And one is excelling and one isn't. So much of it has to do with your internal state of being. So much has to do with your nature. So much has to do with your previous experiences and who you are as a person. Like I always knew that was very individualistic within real estate, but that was just a prime example of that, and it's really woken me up to that. So there's definitely things that I'm learning. However, I'm feeling a little more stagnant recently when it comes to the things that I'm learning and the conversations that I'm having. Sometimes it feels like I'm really repeating myself on a day-to-day basis, and I'm only looking for one or two different things to learn. It's hard because I find it really important to have somebody in front of me that I can learn so much from, and that I can take different beats, that I can, they can be my mentor, they can be my coach. I can learn everything. I can soak up exactly what they're teaching. I'm struggling in that regard at the moment, but it's kind of, I suppose, taking nuggets of information from each individual and learning stuff from teachings that they didn't even think that they were teaching. So I have to be creative in that regard. But I don't know how 6 months has gone by. I don't know how. Well, it's nearly 7 months. It's absolute insanity. That was the fastest 7 months of my life. And I'm just afraid that 6 more months will flash by in the blink of an eye, and I won't feel like that I've learned a lot. So that's something that I'm toying with lately. I do see my future in this company, and I want to build something that is meaningful and grow something as well. So that's intellectually. Emotionally, bit of a whirlwind recently, if I'm to be completely honest. There's no point me talking about the fact that I've been extremely happy recently. Obviously happiness comes and goes. There hasn't been a lot of peace of mind though. There was a bit of overwhelm. There was a bit of not being connected with myself. There was a bit of sacrificing myself and being hard on myself, which is a reoccurring theme of my fucking life. but it felt like that I show up for other people. You know, I'm the, I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like I wasn't taking enough time to myself. I wasn't setting enough me time aside. I wasn't kind of demanding my own time. I wasn't demanding silence and space and solitude. I wasn't demanding participating in things and not being front and center. I wasn't demanding being just passively there as part of something greater and letting other people show up for me. Um, I think it goes back to the whole egotistical thing of, you know, I can bear the burden myself. I can walk the path alone. I don't need help. Everybody else needs my help. I can figure it out by myself, kind of thing, which I'm struggling with. Within the last week, it's gotten better, though, to be honest. But sometimes, especially when I feel tired physically, it kind of lead into emotionally and mentally feeling quite tired. So I'm definitely looking forward to the Christmas break, which is like going to be two weeks long, which will definitely be needed. I think it's the longest break that I'm going to have since I came to Dubai almost 2 years ago. So that will be nice, to be honest. So emotionally, I'm just trying to get more connected with myself because I felt quite disconnected with everything that has been moving so quickly, and weeks have just rolled into weeks, and Monday to Sunday looks quite identical. Not saying that I don't like my Monday to Sunday. There's a lot of joy that I derive from that, but the variety within that was quite low, and I wasn't taking the time and space for myself, which made me feel quite emotionally overwhelmed. And yeah, it kind of reached its peak, I think, 2 weeks ago. Spiritually, it kind of leads on to that. I think I feel quite disconnected spiritually. I don't feel like that I feel like I've sacrificed a lot of the practices that would have brought me more connected with myself and would have made me feel more grounded and more present. I feel like there has been not a lot of moments in which that I've been completely present. I feel like last few weeks I've definitely been kind of putting a lot of thought into my future. Different things definitely align at the same time, and I go through these periods of feeling like there's going to be a change coming soon. I definitely felt that recently, just in from the ways in which the different conversations were coming up and the timing of different things. So that has forced me to kind of think more into the future and take me away from the present moment, take me away from the current moment, combined with the fact that I completely sacrificed any sorts of meditation. I justified why I couldn't meditate in the morning and procrastinated it. Not procrastinate, just didn't do it, to be honest. Didn't do the breath work. Said I need to make it to the gym on time. I need to make it to the cycle track on time. I need to make it to the pool, and I've completely sacrificed it. And what that has meant, it just didn't really give me moments of peace, didn't give me moments of being in the present moment, the here and now. And I don't know how that nearly happened. Again, it kind of happened the same way in which this happened with the podcast. It's just not doing it for one day, not doing it for 2 days, not doing it for 3 days. And then it just kind of can go out the window because you completely forget about it because it's not a habit anymore. Also, journaling, because I ran out of a journal and didn't order a new one in time. There was definitely 2 weeks of where I didn't journal in the morning and evening at all. So it's getting back into the habit of that morning and evening for the journal, and getting back into the habit of meditating, even if it's for 8 minutes, even if it's for 5 minutes of just breath work in the morning, just focusing on my breath, just being here in the present moment, in the now. And yeah, having those moments of peace to myself in order for me to connect to myself spiritually. I do have a trip to Bali coming up for nearly 10 days during the Christmas break, which I'm extremely looking forward to. I feel like that will be my time in order to connect to myself more, in order to spend time with myself, in order to connect deeper and lean back into the spiritual kind of side of myself, doing the things that I enjoy. Maybe it could be a breathwork retreat, or it could be anything like that. Just kind of switch my phone off, going into nature, and not feeling like I'm plugged in the whole time. So I'm really looking forward to that and meeting some people and having new experiences and taking it off my list, because it's definitely somewhere that has piqued my interest a few times now. And then finally, I think socially, I've been better than I have been in a long time. I always reminisce on the first few months that I had here, probably 7-8 months. Yeah, 7.5, 8 months of a lot of solitude, of not a lot of people outside of the working environment that I could call my friends. No people outside of the working environment that I could call my friends at all. And that forced me to be a lot more isolated at the weekends, a lot more isolated in time off, a lot more isolated in the conversations that I was having. That all changed when Liam came over and was living with me. Which has been, he's been gone as almost as long as he was here, which is fucking insane as well. But and that all changed with the run club. So that has been a fucking game changer. Like, I can't describe how the domino effect and the butterfly effect of me deciding to set up a Dubai real estate playbook podcast, then me moving it to the playbook when Liam came over, and then us deciding that we need a physical space for the podcast. So then we set up the run club. And and then it just became its own entity, and it has become its own entity, and the podcast has taken a step back and the run club has taken a step forward. And from January, when we were 3 people, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 4 people, 3 people, to now where we have 20, like 15 to 20 every single week, 25, sometimes even close to 30, over 400 people in the group chat, the same amounts through Instagram, connecting with people, meeting people who just moved here and then turning into really close friends, changing people's perception and experience of Dubai, and people meeting friends from the run club and doing things outside of the run club, people connecting and job opportunities arising and everything, and feeling connected and feeling like that there's people out there like me and like my friends, and actually having friends outside of real estate that don't know me for real estate, they know me for me, has been insane. Friends with the same interests, friends with the same past experiences, friends with the same current experiences. That has single-handedly changed my whole perception of this city by a mile. And the amount of gratitude I have for that, and for the people who turn up, and for the people who've been going every single week for the last 6 months, every single week since God knows how long, and the people who have been there for nearly 12 months now. Like, that blows my mind. And it's the consistency of it, just watching it grow and not getting attached with the number as well, because I was very attached with the number before summer hit. And it feels like there was a lot of progression. And then obviously in summer with the heat, it definitely stagnated, and it reduced again to like 4, 5, 6 people, sometimes 4, 3. So taking my sense of enjoyment away from how many people turn up. And if a lot of people turn up, if not a lot of people turn up, that's absolutely fine. People might turn up when they feel that it is needed for them. And this is just all through word of mouth. And this is just all through like a post or two in a Facebook group chat. And this is all just from people just speaking about it and, you know, referring to friends or whatever. Like, no paid advertising, no marketing, no big plan of how we're going to reach all of Dubai with this thing. No dirham made, no money made, no fucking business concept behind it, no overarching funnel to put people in. Like somebody reached out to me and was like, Brian, I don't understand your business model. Like what do they funnel into? Like what do people funnel in from the podcast into? It's like, yeah, you can keep not understanding it because it's not that deep. It's not that for me. It's not that for me. It's a creative pursuit. It is a project for myself. It's something that I'm not attached with the outcome. I'm trying to be process oriented. Sometimes I can think about where it could be going, and then I get kind of overwhelmed again. But it's just something that I want to create for the people, by the people, fighting Dubai loneliness, one run at a time, as we like to say, and setting it up, but not setting it up, letting the people dictate how it goes, and letting people step forward and lead, and let people kind of not know who set it up and have this anonymous feeling, because it's in a community, it's an entity, it's not one person. I've absolutely loved that, and I've absolutely loved building a brand and having creative ideas and learning about Instagram and the flow of things and how we could be perceived outwardly and how it might attract certain people and repel some other people, and the congruency and how important it is to have a brand image, and weaning it out from the podcast on the Instagram page is so interesting to me. It's so fucking interesting. And if I could do that and do something within that domain for the rest of my life, I think I would be happy. Which is a conversation for another day, but at the moment, things are the way they are, and they will continue being the way they are. But that is the check-in, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. And it's a useful tool for anybody to check in with themselves. If this is writing it down, if this is speaking it to a friend, if this is speaking it to yourself, how am I feeling physically? How am I feeling intellectually? How am I emotionally? Am I connected with myself spiritually? And have I sacrificed my social life, my friends? Because those are the most important buckets. And once you're pouring into those buckets and they are full, you will notice a massive difference in your quality of life, whatever that looks like. It's important to note that there's nothing in there called your financial or your materialism or whatever, because it's just about you. It's just about how you are and feeling internally. So take that time to check in with yourself. Take that time to be self-aware, and take that time to take stock of where you are and how you're feeling and how things have gone, because it's easy to get caught in a rut, specifically in this city. So it's important to take those times and put priority in your life on those things. Because if you're extremely intellectually stimulated, if you are feeling sharp, but physically you're completely sacrificing that, you're not getting physical exercise, you're not getting to the gym, you're not feeling your best physically, then what are we really doing here? So it's important to treat all of them with the respect that they deserve, lean more into the periods of what's required. And for me, definitely emotionally and spiritually at the moment, I need to look more at, because physically, intellectually to a certain extent, and socially, those buckets are kind of looked after. They're fine at the moment. So it's about looking at the other ones. So that's essentially it. I hope you've enjoyed it. To anybody who's listening, if you're in Dubai and you're listening to this and you haven't been to the Run Club, just drop me a Instagram DM at the Playbook Run Club, and we would love to see you there. And I'll see you in the next one.